we're going to make this lovely hoop this week. I've already stitched the text, as you can see, making it up as I go. The template is available to download from my blog for free. The link is in the comment section, okay? I used an air erasable pen to transfer the design, which was super easy. And then I just stitched the quote using little back stitches, just with 3 strands. And then I added little French knots for the dots on the eyes as well. So we're going to add some seeding stitch around the edge. I've got 3 strands again, using the same throughout. Okay, so the thread colours that I'm using for this are from my Rainbow Brights pack, which is available on my website, so you can find all the details on my blog for the colours and things. I decided to use the purple for the text, which is 333. That's a lovely shade, really, really nice, bright purple. Okay, so I'm using the red first, and I've done the first seeding, but as you can see, and if I don't tie off and I just kind of dot around the fabric, that's going to look a little bit messy after a while. I mentioned it at the end of the tutorial video this week. If you're using a light fabric and a dark or a particularly bright coloured thread, sometimes it can show through the front, and although nobody sees the back, there are some times where it's best to tie off, and it might seem a little bit faffy, but I promise it'll be worth it, and you'll get into a little groove just with tying off little knots at the back between each one. So there will be a lot of cutting and knotting and snipping and all of that this week, but it'll be worth it for the overall effect if you can be bothered. Okay, so just make a cup of tea or whatever you fancy, and pop a box set on or your favourite programme or something, and just do it. And I really think that it's quite relaxing once you get into it. So I'm just trying to keep my seedings fairly similar in size, okay? And as I said on the stitch tutorial video, you might have heard of seed stitch, which is basically single straight stitches, fairly small like this, kind of dotted about, a bit like sprinkles. We use straight stitches on the sprinkles hoop because they were bigger and less kind of compact. Seed stitch, the stitches are very close together. This is seeding stitch, where it's essentially same kind of idea, but it's in groups of 2. And it is confusing in embroidery. There are lots of fairly similar names. Some stitches are different but have the same name, which can also cause a little bit of confusion. So if you know this is something else, don't worry. It's the technique and the effect that's important, and just being aware that some stitches have different names. It's just kind of, I don't know, sometimes it's a bit like knitting, isn't it, and crochet. There's American terms and British terms for stuff, and it's just about being aware of that, really. So as you can see, I'm building up using the red here, and what I decided to do was I'm going to do a few of the seedings over the hoop in red. I'm just going to change colour for the purposes of the video. This is one of my huge DMC cones. They're massive. If you haven't seen my thread wall of dreams, go and have a look on my Instagram. I'm at Hello Hooray blog. It's I've had that envisioned in my head for a long time, and it's really nice to see that actually in real life now. I've got all of my cones on some shelves in my workshop room, which are currently behind me as I'm stitching this. Anyway, what was I saying? Oh yeah, so I'm just going to do a few of each colour. That's the Thread Magic Thread Conditioner that I'm just putting on there, in case you're wondering what that is. I'm going to do a few of each colour, and then once I've done all of the colours, because there are 7 colours that I'm using here, once I've got a few of all of the colours on, I think it'll be easier to see at that point what you need and where. All of this is just being done freehand, and I like the freedom of that. I think it's quite nice to just do it freestyle. I don't think a stitch like this necessarily needs you to draw it on. If you would prefer to draw it on though, do it in something like an air erasable pen or a water erasable, something that you're going to be able to get rid of because you don't want to see all those pen lines. Water erasable, it would probably just be easier to put all of the fabric underwater, I think, rather than using the brush pens that I've used in previous videos, because you will literally be here for about a week. Nobody's got time for that. Yeah, I know we're making it up as I go, but you know, I think that can take a bit of forward planning, and the brush is just, it wouldn't be recommended for this project. So anyway, I'll add a few of the orange ones in now so you can just see how I'm building that up. And I'm just tying off each time and trimming the excess. Trimming the excess is really, really important, and you might be wondering why I'm doing that, particularly if you've not seen any of my videos before. It's important to trim it because sometimes if you're stitching near to it, if you've left a loose end at the back, it can actually come up through the front of your fabric in another stitch, and you really don't want that. I mean, obviously I'm quite spread out here at the minute, but as you get closer together, you don't want ends of other colours just kind of poking through. So it is just a really, really good idea just to trim those ends, and then it'll be cleaner on the front. You don't want any random fluffy bits poking through. So I'll just trim that there, and try and trim as close as you can to the knot. So I'm going to fill in the gaps now with the magic of technology, just to speed it up. Ta-da! Oh, and look, I painted my hoop. Hooray! This is a lovely colour. I love this one. It's called Beryl. I gave all of my paint colours names because why not? So as you can see, it builds up a lovely pattern. That looks like that on the back, and that's how I finished the back. Have a look at last week's video if you want to see me finishing the back. If you've got any questions, so do get in touch. I'm always happy to help, and I can't wait to see your versions of this. So I hope you enjoy this project this week.